Hey everyone, welcome back to another video here on the channel. This week, Hyundai was kind enough to send me the 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line, or the performance variant of the midsize sedan from Hyundai. Now, the compact and midsize sedan segments have been dwindling and shrinking in size over the last number of years, 2, 3, 5 years. We've seen competitors to this vehicle go away entirely, and more recently, we've seen the Honda Accord and the Toyota Camry discontinue their more powerful engine options, including the 2-liter turbo and the V6 engines respectively, which this vehicle technically did compete against. And the Sonata is just a standout vehicle currently because it does offer 3 different powertrains for anybody looking or shopping in this segment. And I just think it's a well-rounded offering within this segment, but it is missing one key feature which some of the competition does offer, and that of course is a lack of all-wheel drive available in this vehicle. So every Sonata, except the base 4-cylinder SEL trim level only, will be front-wheel drive, and that is the only amount of all-wheel drive Sonatas we get here in the United States. And of course, that was introduced for the refresh in this vehicle for the 2024 model year. But anyways, after the last 6 days or so with the Sonata N-Line, I certainly gathered some very positive opinions of not only this powertrain, but also just this chassis, vehicle size in general. But of course, with the positive also comes a few negatives, which somewhat is shared across the recent Hyundai lineup in general. Some of their design and aesthetic bits, mainly on the interior, and other ones are going to be specific to, of course, the Sonata itself in general. So without further ado, let's not waste time. Take a look at both everything I like and dislike here with the 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. So my first like with this vehicle is going to be the styling, aesthetic, and overall design, particularly what Hyundai did with the 2024 refresh. Now, this vehicle is based upon the same chassis and platform that did debut for the 2020 model year here in the United States. And of course, for 2021, we got the Sonata N-Line, the performance-oriented variant. And overall, I think it's a very attractive vehicle, even in the pre-refresh models. But what Hyundai has been doing across the refreshes in their current iterations is just absolutely fantastic. Now, just earlier this week, in fact, we saw what the 2026 Ioniq 6 refresh looks like, and Hyundai borrowed a lot of the styling elements that they gave this vehicle for the refresh and applied it to the Ioniq 6. And I think overall, aesthetically, this vehicle looks very attractive. Inside the vehicle, I would say this is one of the things that I'm less impressed by. It does look very familiar and similar to that of other Hyundai all-new products or refresh products. This vehicle overall just looks very sharp, very stunning here in the midsize sedan segment. And I think it actually is one of the more attractive offerings. Now, my second like with this vehicle is going to be the reason you're looking at the N-Line trim in the first place, and as the powertrain. So underneath it, you're going to find the 2.5-liter turbocharged 4-cylinder paired to an 8-speed wet dual-clutch transmission, putting out 290 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque through the front wheels only through a brake-based LSD limited slip differential, so not a mechanical type like the Elantra N or some of the other N vehicles, for example. And I will say this vehicle will go through tires fairly quickly depending on how aggressively you do drive it. But anyways, this vehicle features launch control when you use the custom drive mode, select Sport Plus, and go through a couple other settings, which I will show you guys in the drive video on this vehicle. So make sure you guys subscribe, stay tuned for that. But this powertrain is so torquey. It just accelerates with a swift motion, and I would not be surprised if this vehicle could do a sub 5-second 0 to 60 under ideal conditions, because it does have that built-in launch control. And really the limiting factor is going to be the all-season tires that this vehicle does come equipped with. And I know a lot of people out there will say, well, it would be so much better with all-wheel drive. And yes, that might be true to a certain degree. However, depending on the average type of driving you're doing, front-wheel drive, especially with the electronic nannies and the systems that Hyundai has put in place, does keep it under control fairly well, and then a tire upgrade yourself could improve traction even quite a bit further. Now, my third like with this vehicle has to do with the power seat adjustments here on the driver's side. So the Sonata N-Line has always had the normal amount of power adjustments, including the tilt, recline, slide, two-way power lumbar, but in addition to this, it actually has the power adjustable bolsters in this outer ring that is borrowed from some of the earlier Hyundai Genesis or current Genesis products and some of the other higher end models within the vehicle. So essentially, this does have the N N-Line specific seats, and the bolsters themselves are able to get tighter or wider. And overall, I just think the seats themselves are very comfortable. They have a lot of adjustments. They have the suede Alcantara inserts, and the power bolsters are just a small additional attribute that you don't see on a lot of vehicles out there. Now, my fourth like is one unfortunately you can't see, but one you may experience on a daily basis, and that is Digital Key 2.0 Premium. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Hyundai's latest phone as key or digital key functionalities with their vehicles, they have two systems, 2.0 Touch and 2.0 Premium. Now, 2 basically means it's compatible with Android and iOS devices. If you go back to the original digital key, that was only available with Android and was kind of very limited in its performance. But 2.0 Touch and 2.0 Premium are their latest offerings, and Premium allows you to use your smartphone essentially very similar to that of a normal proximity key fob, to where you can walk up to the vehicle, have your phone in your pocket, simply open the door, get inside the vehicle, put your foot on the brake, and start the vehicle just with your phone on your person or inside of the cabin, if you will. Now, with 2.0 Touch, it's only using Bluetooth and NFC technologies, so you have to, walk up to the vehicle, hold your phone within, an inch or two of the actual door handle. It will unlock, allow you to get inside. Then you have to place your phone on the actual wireless charging pad to start the vehicle and operate it if you do want to drive it with your phone only. So having that premium functionality or the more advanced digital key on this vehicle allows you to basically ditch your key fob if you choose to and operate the vehicle just as you would on a daily basis. And I think that's an extra good thing, because the key fob on this vehicle is so bulky, so chunky, and looks like an Alibaba key from overseas. It's actually quite comical that I probably, if I were to own this vehicle and would trust the system over time, would probably opt to use the digital key over the actual proximity key fob. Now, my next like has to do with the interior refresh, namely the 12.3-inch digital instrument cluster, specifically when it comes to this driver assistance page in the middle right here. Now, of course, using the steering wheel buttons, you can cycle between a couple different pages, including your trip information, TPMS, your navigation, and back to the driver assistance menu. But this will show you when your brake lights are illuminated, which isn't new. Some competitor vehicles have that. But this vehicle will also show you when your blind spot indicators are currently illuminated, not only on the mirror itself, but also in the screen via little red, arrows or little lines here on the left and right hand side of the vehicle. Now, again, this is not the only vehicle to do that, but I think Hyundai has implemented that system very well. And I actually almost prefer to use this page to see when vehicles are in my blind spot versus using the LED indicators on the mirrors, just because it's that good and that easy to read. Now, continuing on with the interior refresh, my next like has to do with the center console design and layout. So Hyundai has revised this area in center console, including the HVAC, the audio multimedia controls here just below the 12.3-inch screen. And really from like this point down, I think they did an excellent job with ergonomics and overall layout. So starting here with the HVAC, we have your buttons and knobs for the audio multimedia, the dual zone automatic climate control, heated seats, and some of the other HVAC controls on this small touchscreen down there. Below that, we have USB-C data charge ports, 12-volt outlet, your wireless charging pad for the phone, which we will discuss here in a second for my dislikes. There's something really wrong about that. But this space in general is just a nice storage space. I actually find myself putting my sunglasses here and my phone here just because there's so much space in this area. And coming back a little bit further, we have drive mode selection, automatic vehicle hold, backup camera selection, a little storage pocket for something right there, and then 2 oversized cup holders, and the front one being extremely oversized to the point where you can put almost any beverage or bottle inside. And then this is kind of an average normal size cup holder, which fits, the 20-ounce Yeti tumbler that I normally use, and pretty much every size drink in these areas. But specifically what I like about it too is a small extension here for the driver's side armrest, which allows you to rest your hand here extremely comfortably, which is very similar to over here on the actual door panel. So just the entire flow of the center console is extremely good, and basically the only reason Hyundai was able to accomplish all this design is because they moved the shifter here up on the column, just like that they've been doing in other models across their model lineup. Now, moving on to my next like, that actually has to do with the Bose premium audio system found on the N-Line and the limited trim levels. So if you've been subscribed, seen some of my other videos and content on the channel, you'll know that typically Hyundai's premium audio systems are very lackluster in my opinion, especially compared to other manufacturers' offerings. Now, this might be due to the vehicle age and the platform, given this has been around since the 2020 model year, but this vehicle in particular, I think actually has an acceptable premium audio system in comparison to the base audio and other premium audio systems currently offered on the market. So this does have, of course, the tweeters, the mids on the doors. You have the dedicated subwoofer mounted on the actual deck lid itself. And maybe just given the cabin space is on the smaller side, I think it is, powerful enough, sounds quite decent, gets plenty loud on the inside, and is quite reasonable in its performance for premium audio. So overall, I think Hyundai with the Bose partnership on this vehicle is pretty good, but I still would like to see them improve most of their other lineup. So that's gonna do it here for all my likes with the Sonata N line. Now let's get into things that I don't like so much. So starting out here on the interior, my first dislike has to do with the Seek track buttons here on the steering wheel, namely when using Android Auto or Apple CarPlay. These buttons are reverse from what they should be. So say you have Android Auto or Apple CarPlay enabled, we'll go ahead and pull up the infotainment system with audio or streaming music that is playing. If you want to go to the next track, you have to hit down. So you can see it fast forward to the next track. We'll go ahead and hit down one more time, next track. And if you hit up, it actually replays the current track or goes back. This is absolutely backwards from what it should be, and I don't know why they haven't fixed this yet. It is so annoying. On my personal 2019 Elantra GT N line, it does not have this problem. Up is next, down is back, which is the way it should be. But for some reason in Hyundai's newer products from like 2020 onwards, it's all backwards. Down is next, up is back. I don't know why. Should be easy to fix via software. Now continuing on with my second dislike, that has to do with the proximity key fob that Hyundai has rolled out starting with the 2023 Ioniq 6, and nearly every Hyundai model except the 2025 Hyundai Palisade now has this design. So this is the key fob, which I've featured in a lot of my content here on the channel. It has the Hyundai logo when you hold it sideways just like this. It has all the normal functions: lock, unlock, remote start, panic, and then you do have your trunk release, and the smart park assist functionalities will be on the side of the key fob if the vehicle is equipped with that. But this key fob is bad for several reasons. Number one, it's chunkier and bigger than that of the old proximity keys that Hyundai used to use in their last generation, or the current one found in the Palisade, for example. It's lightweight, chintzy, there's just no weight to it. It's, just cheap feeling. And the second biggest thing about it is it does not incorporate the actual mechanical key inside of the key fob. So this essentially is the setup you're gonna have if you wanna have your mechanical key and your proximity key on your person in case the battery dies and you need to get access to the vehicle. This is the setup you're gonna be walking around with, and having this in your pocket is just so chunky, so annoying, and Hyundai just really needs to go back to the drawing board about this key fob because it's a huge step backwards. Now my third dislike here on the interior has to do with that wireless charging pad that I mentioned, and not the design of the actual wireless charger itself. You can see my phone Pixel 9 Pro, the smaller one, fits in here without issues. But the issue I've been having with this phone and the setup of the wireless charging pad is the fact that if you have it in there in its normal orientation, you can see I put the top of the phone first, it will start to charge via the indicator right there. But I found when I'm actually driving around with the vehicle, it will not stay charging consistently because the wireless charging and the back of the phone are not in an optimal position. So to solve this, I actually had to reverse the phone, spin it around 180 degrees, put it back in, and it charged flawlessly without an issue. So basically, the back of the wireless charging pad, or where everything is mounted, is not lining up 100% perfectly to a point where the phone likes it and will stay charging while driving. Now, when the phone's reversed, works without an issue. And I get this is going to be maybe phone model dependent as to whether or not you have to reverse your phone around to get constant connection. But it's just maybe in relation to where they put this rubber stopper at the back of the wireless charging pad as to why the phone and the wireless charging pad might not be lining up 100% well. So overall, not a huge deal to flip your phone around like that, but that should be, again, a very easy, simple fix. And again, I don't know how many phone models it may impact. Leave a comment down in the comment section below if you noticed this issue in your Sonata. Now moving on to my next dislike with this vehicle, one that's quite disappointing, that's going to be some of the build quality and noises and rattles and vibrations I felt here on the interior. Now there's three main things I want to discuss. The first one is with the panoramic power sunroof. Whenever it's open, retracted back, and I'm driving down the road at like 30, 40 miles an hour, I'm not sure it actually matters. The little wind deflector moves up and down like this with the vibrations and the air flowing through it, but there's some plastic piece or something up there that is rattling, making noises that is just absolutely drives you nuts because it's like 1 foot away from your ear. So that's my first issue. The second one is going to be with the subwoofer mounted in the deck lid. It rattles some of the plastics, trim pieces, or something back there so bad that it actually overpowers the sub frequencies itself. And again, that is quite annoying. The third thing is up here with the two front door panels, the speaker output and the mids in the doors are actually doing the same thing and rattling some of the plastics and interior trim internally to them. So overall, given I don't have the bass cranked up, it's on like +1 from the middle setting and the volume wasn't even nearly all the way up. The things with the speakers might be able to be fixed relatively easily by yourself, maybe. But the things with the sunroof and the trim pieces up there, it's a little bit disappointing that there is rattles, vibrations and stuff with a vehicle that has just over 3,500 miles on it. And that's just ultimately not something I was expecting to see from this vehicle, so it is a little bit disappointing. Now my next dislike has to do with the automatic headlight sensitivity using the sensor up there on the dashboard. So this vehicle has one of the most sensitive headlight sensors that I have ever seen. Now, some vehicles out there that I've tested on the channel have adjustments in the infotainment or the vehicle settings where you can change between low, medium, high sensitivity for the automatic headlights themselves, but unfortunately this vehicle does not. And every single time you're driving under an overpass, through a tunnel, anything like that, the reactiveness and the quickness for the headlights to turn on is insanely quick. You won't even be completely under the overpass before the headlights are on, and then like 3 seconds later they're turning off because you know, obviously it got dark enough for the sensor to trigger. But I just think there should be some sort of adjustment in sensitivity here on the vehicle settings to adjust that, because at the end of the day, depending on how much you know, overpasses or shadows you're driving through, the headlights are turning on and off 3, 4, 5 times on your singular drive, even when the sun's out on a nice day like this. So not a huge fan of that. Now my next dislike comes back to the proximity entry system and its performance over the last 6 days using the key fob, having it on my person. Now of course both front handles are going to be the touch type, so you have the sensor on the outside to lock the vehicle and then the touch type sensor on the back of the door handle just to grab it and then open it up. Now kind of as you saw right there, the delay of this system and its performance has been not only inconsistent but just not reliable at all. So the few issues I've had with here on the driver's side is, number one, I've got, every time I get out of the vehicle and want to walk away and lock it, so simply doing that, it locked that time, but there's a delay sometimes, and sometimes it won't even register me locking the vehicle. I'll have to actually come back and kind of hold it like this, and then it will lock. Now, similarly, if you go to open the vehicle, want to grab it, there's like a 1.5 second delay to unlock the vehicle, and I'm not exactly sure why that is. Now, the other issue I've experienced twice over the last week is I got out of the vehicle, I wanted to lock it, you know, I hit this button here, and it beeped at me a long beep, which means the car sensed that the key fob was still inside the car, even though I'm standing like this outside of the car, and I had to like shuffle around and then come back, and then it worked without an issue. So overall, I've been disappointed with the proximity entry system on this car, and it's quite bothersome because compared to some of the other cars from other manufacturers I've tested that have a much more reactive system, this is terribly slow. And number two, it's just not reliable when you want to lock the car. I mean, it's working for me on this video, but there's been a number of times where I've touched the door handle and it just doesn't work, or maybe it's because I'm moving and in motion, the sensor's not picking up the key fob is outside the vehicle. But nonetheless, the proximity entry system using the key fob and the reactiveness to how quickly it locks and unlock is terribly slow, and honestly wish it was better. Now, I think my final dislike is maybe a little bit of a subjective one, but you guys will have to let me know if you agree or disagree down in the comment section below. But it's going to be the packaging, namely some of the features that are missing in a vehicle of this price point. Now for 2024 onwards, Hyundai did do some revisions to packaging and powertrains. They discontinued the 1.6 liter turbo, and basically if you want a fully loaded limited Sonata, you have to get the hybrid limited. Now between a hybrid limited and an N-Line, there's about a $2,000 price differential. This car's about $2,000 cheaper. But with that hybrid limited, they even added to the feature set for the 2024 refresh and gave that vehicle a power motorized trunk in addition to all the other features it already had. So it has front, rear, side parking sensors, smart park, heads-up display, ventilated front seats in addition to the heated seats. It has a heated steering wheel on the limited. And the list really goes on. There's quite a few additional features on the limited over this of the N-Line. And I would personally like to see the N-Line equipped just a little bit more so than it is in its current iteration. Sure, it has heated seats, sure it has the power driver's seat, ambient interior lighting, LED exterior lighting, Bose audio, power sunroof, etc. But, you know, I think this vehicle could use a feature or two, such as a 360 camera, maybe the parking sensors and ventilated front seats, and maybe add like $500 on the price point for those things, because I think it would make it a much more well-rounded daily driver than it currently is, missing those things, like namely the cameras. I don't know why it doesn't have 360 cameras on a vehicle of nearly $37,000 as equipped, but that's the case. Hyundai gave it the 2.5 liter turbo instead of all those other creature comforts, but I think for a daily driver in the upper $30,000 price point, I would probably like to have some of those other creature and comfort convenience items compared to what this vehicle comes equipped with as standard. But with all that being said, that is going to do it here for my full list of likes and dislikes here on the 2025 Hyundai Sonata N-Line. Once again, I want to give a huge thanks to Hyundai for sending this vehicle out for me to test and review. Make sure you stay tuned and subscribe here on the channel if you're not for my full comprehensive driving review video, where I'll take this vehicle for a drive, show you how to use launch control, and give you my thoughts and opinions about how the vehicle drives in a little bit more detail. But nonetheless, I think overall it's a very solid offering, especially due to the fact that you cannot get some of the competitors with their more powerful powertrains that have been discontinued over the last year or two. So if you're looking for a sporty, mid-size, fun to drive vehicle such as this one, that's of course a sedan, the Sonata N-Line, and of course its sister vehicle, the Kia K5 GT, certainly stand out in terms of offerings within the segment. I think it's as simple as that. I love the styling of this vehicle. It comes in a handful of very cool, nice colors for the 2024 refresh. This one's the nice Portofino gray, which is one of the older grays, believe it or not, within Hyundai's lineup. But let me know what you guys think of my likes and dislikes down in the comment section below. Do you agree, disagree, want to add anything? Feel free to leave that in the comment section. I'm sure it'll help prospective buyers to this vehicle cross-shop with others they may be looking at and decide whether or not it is worth looking at and or the one that they should ultimately purchase if you're in the market. But as always, I appreciate continued support here on the channel. Check out other content I have on the Sonata N-Line, other Sonata trim levels if you're curious about the hybrid limited, for example. And with all that being said, I hope to see you guys in the next one.